Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Monique, and I'm on a financial health journey to create an inheritance for the generations to come. I want to do that through consistency and discipline. Today, I am here to do a debt update, but also to talk through some changes that I've had to make to my budget and to my financial planning, just in reference to things that have happened earlier in the year and how I am accounting for that now in the second half of 2024. I'd like to thank anybody who's liked or commented on any of my videos, and especially those that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. Truly started this as a way to hold myself accountable, but I understand, recognize, and appreciate the community as a whole. So if you're rocking with me on this journey, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't made up your mind yet, sit with me for a spell. At the end of the video, if this is content you find valuable or enjoyable, please feel free to subscribe. So if you've been a part of my channel for any length of time, then you know I'm just coming out of a skinny paycheck season. That's the way I've been explaining it. But basically, at the end of 2023, I found out that I was going to be dealing with a paycheck reduction of around 25 to 30%. And I was going to see that change for pretty much the first half of the year. And while I have been very blessed to be able to still cover my bills and take care of everything, some of the plans that I had put into place prior to that, as it relates to my debt, how I'm going to tackle my debt, had to adjust. And so now we're back to adjusting again, now that that season is over, so that I can get back on track to actually trying to pay down debt more aggressively, of course, than I've been able to do in the last few months. Okay, so I saw this bookmark and I've just been keeping it around. You probably see it thrown around on my desk all the time. As I am making videos, and I'll just throw it here, throw it there, but I'm keeping it around because I love the message on it. I recognize my worth overall. My worth is not determined by what we're about to go through in this notebook. It's determined by my mental path that I take around my financial health and around this journey, this life's journey in general. And so that's where I get my wealth from. That's where I get my worth from. That's where I get my strength from. That's where I get my perseverance from. And that's what we're going to need to use in order for us to move forward. And so I am grateful to God for just allowing me to spiritually and mentally be prepared for things as they happen. I am also going to use this as a way, and I've come in a little bit, so I'm going to use this as a way to kind of keep track of things and show you guys a little bit piece by piece as we go through this conversation. All right, so here we go. So paycheck deduction that we talked about, it started back in December of 2023. It went through the first paycheck that I received in June of 2024 and was roughly $9,000. So I received $9,000 less in my check for the past 6 months, I guess. That I've had to adjust for. And as I mentioned before, I've been very blessed that there haven't been any bills that haven't gone unpaid, to include any credit cards, loans, etc. And I have been able to save some money as well. But what did this do for my debt and how I'm paying that back? So what I decided to do back in 2023, and this is the way that I've always tackled debt in the past, is I've used my Discover card, and every time I get an offer for a 0% balance transfer, whether it's for 12 months or 18 months or 20 months, whatever the case may be, I initiated at that point to pay off some of my loans or credit cards, and that's how I've been able to tackle my debt. I have not tackled my debt by doing a lot of savings challenges specifically towards that, or any leftover money that I have at the end of the month, putting it towards debt. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are wonderful options. It's just not the way I chose to tackle my debt. I chose to tackle my debt using the 0% balance transfer for my Discover card. And I've been going through that, and I've been able to pay off a lot. But back in the winter of 2023, I moved over a couple of different balances. So I'd already moved over, let me take this step back. I'd already moved over my Best Buy and I was working on paying that back. But then I moved over my leftover balance for my Rooms to Go card as well. And I was tackling that. And the plan was at that time, and actually made a video for that, was that I should have been able to contribute somewhere between $300 to $400 every month when you consider how much I was already paying to both Best Buy and Rooms to Go, and you consider the additional income that I had where I had been paying on the Discover card to pay off the previous cards that I had loaded there. And those were now paid off. That left me with a good bit of income that I was going to be able to use towards these loans, specifically Best Buy and Rooms to Go. And the thought was, if I do that 0% balance transfer, and now I don't have to worry about interest, every single dollar of that $300 or $400 was going to go towards the debt itself and not have to worry about anything in interest. Well, I made that move. I pulled the trigger on that and I moved that over, and then I got the notice about having the payroll deduction. So at the end of that, towards the end of May, I took a look at the Discover card, and I still owed roughly $2,500, $2,600. $1,100 of it was due in September. $1,100 was due in September. $1,400 was due in December, in order to make sure that 0% balance transfer, those were complete, and that I did not have to worry about incurring any interest. But a lot of things have happened overall in the past few months, namely, of course, getting married, but also trying to get some of my savings and other things back up. So while I've been able to cover all of my bills and been able to save a little bit as well, I've had some pressing priorities. One of the things, for example, was Corinne, my daughter's trip to Carnegie Hall, right? It was about $2,000 to pay for her to go to that, and some other things. We've been able to do that. Haven't swiped a credit card for any of it. But what it did was, as I was moving the monies and providing that money in those cases for those items, then my savings is not where it needed to be. And I was grateful to have the savings available in order to cover and float things and take care of things. But at the same time, I have to recognize, when you remove that money from your savings and you're not able to aggressively put it back, you're going to have an issue if something else happens, right? Because this was a good lesson for me, that things happen, things that are outside of your control, and you still need to be able to adjust and move forward through it. So I looked at this $2,500, and I thought to myself, can I reasonably pay these amounts, get all of this stuff paid off in a time period that shows, while trying to do everything else that I wanted to do? And for me, that answer was no. I think that was going to be too tight and too aggressive, because we've had a lot of things that we're trying to take care of right now. We'll talk about a lot of that later on down the line. But overall, I did not feel like I could do that. Now, just so that we recap all of the things that I've been able to handle through this 0% balance transfer offer. So I started with the two Credit One credit cards that I had. One was $1,500. Another one was for $1,100. So basically, I got the Discover 0% balance transferred over the $1,500 balance, worked hard to pay that off. Got another offer, transferred over the $1,100, worked to pay that off. Same thing with Best Buy. I transferred over $2,300. Now, what you'll notice here is I transferred over $2,300 by the end of May. I only had $1,100 of that was still due. Again, I was still making payments. I just couldn't make as much as I was before. So where I had planned to pay $300 to $400 every month to Discover, I was only able to pay like $150 towards Discover. So only half of what I really wanted to over the last 6 months while I was dealing with that paycheck deduction. Or reduction. So the Best Buy, I moved over $2,300. Rooms to Go, I moved over the $1,400. And as you see, I hadn't even started tackling that. The way that the 0% balance transfer works, at least for Discover, with the ones that I had transferred over, they handled them in order. So all of the money I was contributing was going towards this Best Buy one. Nothing had touched this Rooms to Go one. So This is what was the determining factor for me. So even if I paid off this $1,100 by September, I was still going to have to pay off $1,400 by December. That's October, November, December. In 3 months, I was going to have to cover this amount. And I knew that that was just not going to be possible. I might have been able to reach this goal, but I wouldn't have been able to reach this because nothing that we were contributing so far was going towards that $1,400 for rooms to go. And so what decision then did you make, Monique? Well, I have a Citi card. And so my Citi card has a 0% balance transfer offer for 21 months. You pay a 3% transfer fee, and then you have 21 months to pay it off. And so, yes, that's what I did. I took this amount that I owed for Discover, the $2,500, and I moved that over to the Citi card for the 0% balance transfer offer. And then I have an Ally credit card that I only owed $298 on, I think it was. So I transferred. It might have been a little bit more than this. I didn't know how soon it was going to take for this to go through. It takes about 14 days for it to happen. And I was coming up on a payment needed for the Ally. So I think I left one minimum payment there on the card, and I only transferred over at $298. At any rate, there you go. Those are the two amounts that I did transfer over to the Citi card. Like I mentioned before, it's another 0% balance transfer offer, and I have 21 months now to pay that off. And roughly for those amounts, plus the transfer fee of 3%, I should be able to achieve that if I give at minimum $150 a month towards it. I should be able to pay it off in the time frame there. But now that I'm out of that payroll reduction period or season in my life, I am anticipating being able to pay more than that $150. So you will see a few challenges here and there, and they'll say extra debt as the reason for that challenge. I've got a $10 challenge I'm going to introduce that's going to be towards extra debt and for my personal binder. My Monday mini savings challenges that I do, you probably will see extra debt as one of the challenges that I wanted to contribute towards. So I am trying to work myself back into getting more aggressive around my debt payments. But I did make this move to the Citi card in order to keep me from going into any type of interest error as far as these are concerned. So this balance has been moved over. This Ally balance has been moved over. Now that those amounts have been moved over, I am concentrating on the Citi card as the one that I'm going to pay off. And we're using the Discover card and the Ally card to help us to start adulting. So I think I talked about before, we were going to start using credit cards to pay for our variable expenses. We're going to cash stuff them, and then we would unstuff the money and put them back in the bank. That way we could get some reward points. And our thought right now, although a lot of people I think use their reward points and they use that for vacations or to buy other things, ours is going to go towards debt. So again, this is another way that we're going to try and tackle that debt. We're going to use those credit cards, get those reward points every month, use those reward points to help offset some of the other costs that we have so that we can apply that money towards the Citi card debt. So you will see a lot of moves made in reference to trying to pay off the Citi card quicker than the 21 months allow. Okay, so I did want to cover that really quickly so that you got, well, that wasn't quick, but I did want to cover that so that you all understand kind of the moves that we're making as far as that's concerned. So when you look at our debt overall, and I was supposed to use my card to cover that up. I'm not good at all this. All right. So what do we see here? And again, I keep track of all of the cards that are still active, even if they don't have a balance on them. Okay. So my June debt update as of July the 2nd, and that's the date that you see over here. Best Buy has a 0 starting balance and a 0 ending balance. I've gone, I want to say about 10 months maybe that I have not used that card. I am considering whether or not I want to close that card, but I do know after I close those 2 Credit One cards here, after each of these that I closed out, I got my credit score went down by 10 points, and then it had to build itself back up. And then this one went down when I paid this one off by 10 points, and then I had to build it back up. Plus, I've already got some activity because I have this now showing on the card, even though I have that Discover and that Alley now showing as 0. So that's been a lot of activity. So I think for right now, I'm probably going to leave it alone, but I am considering whether I want to close that out. So Best Buy, zeros all across the board. Rooms to go, starting balance, nothing. And ending balance is nothing. Now, I'm considering whether or not we're going to end up having to use this card, just because, you know, we're making a lot of moves right now in the home, moving people out and moving people in and getting things ready. Sweets is moving some of his furniture from his home in South Carolina that he doesn't really need. And we're going to put around the middle of July. If you guys saw my monthly calendar overview, around the middle of July, he's supposed to be renting a U-Haul and bringing some of that stuff in. Excuse me. So that should help us not to have to use that Rooms to Go card. So again, we're trying to make strides towards doing better so that we're not increasing our debt while we're trying to attack debt as well. Allie had a balance of the $351.68. I'm going to say we made that total payment, although I had $298 down here that we paid off. I went ahead and cash flowed the rest of that to make sure it was covered so that I could start to use this card. So I'm using the Alley card in order to handle my variable expenses. The Discover, the starting balance $25.71 has been paid off, so that's 0. And Sweets is using that one for his variable expenses, and then he's paying that off weekly. So we're using these cards. That's why you have the asterisk there. So while there is a running balance on there, there's no ending balance, because the ending balance will always show as 0. But we are handling the current balance that shows that running balance weekly based on the money that we've been able to cash stuff. So now my city card shows, as of today, July the 2nd, $2,967.32 as the amount that we're starting with. No payments yet. First payment isn't due until the end of July, around the end of July. But you guys might see me make partial payments, not partial payments, but split it up, do some type of split bill, and maybe just do $75 each check. I'm not sure. I'm still working through that. But that is my starting balance, and that's what I still have so far for City. And so that includes the 0% transfers, transfer fees, etc. Kohl's started at $25.49.25. I ended at $25.25.26, and I paid $87. Green Sky is at $55.08. I paid $90, and now I'm at $5,464.22. Student loans, I went ahead and combined those together because I pay them together. So I'm going to go ahead and from now on, instead of doing student loan A, student loan B, they'll just be all combined together. So starting balance was $11,434.38. I paid $82, and the ending balance is $11,412.54. And probably if at some point in another video, I'll start to track again the interest, so you can see how much is going towards interest, how much is going towards principal. But you can pretty much figure that out here by subtracting these two numbers, and then realizing what you did as far as your payment is concerned. So for example, for this one, just really quickly, 11,434.38. Oh wait, yeah, I was right. 11,434.38 minus 11,412.54 equals, hey, I didn't do that right. 11,434.38 minus 11,412.54 equals $21.84. If you subtract that from, I think the payment is actually $81.55, equals $59.71 went towards interest. And that's how you would figure it out. So I may start to calculate that as well and keep that number also. But I'll be honest, that looking at the amount of interest paid that you've paid on any of these loans can be a little depressing, and I don't want to be depressed. I want to be happy. I don't want to be sad. So my auto $25,552.83 is my starting balance. I ended at $25,231.42, and I made the minimum payment of $503. And then my mortgage, I made the minimum payment of $715. It doesn't show what my ending balance is yet. That new that last payment has not registered just yet, but I'm okay with that because I don't tend to include the mortgage in my consumer debt total as far as what I'm tackling. So when I tallied all of these numbers together right here, I come up with $47,600.76, and my end balance in May was $47,967.65. So I pretty much paid off about $367, and I haven't worked out percentages, etc. I'll start to do those at some point, but I think I am going to use my notebook overall to track every month so that I can see that number and see it decrease. I expect, and you all should anticipate seeing a larger decrease amount here for my July update if things go to plan. So I should definitely contribute more than $300 and some odd dollars towards debt over this next month, but we shall see. All right, so that is my debt update for you guys. I hope that you all enjoyed that. And again, just give me some well wishes as I'm working through this challenge. But again, I am blessed that we've been able to take care of everything. And while I may not have reached the goal that I wanted to, as far as paying off those items in Discover, I am going to rejoice in the progress and in the journey that I have. And I know that good things are going to come. All right. So thanks everybody for your time. You guys have a good one.